day, the mother goat wanted to go for food. She admonished her 7 children, "Dear children, I want to go out into the woods. Be wary of the wolf. When he comes in, he will eat you all with skin and hair. The villain often disguises himself, but you will soon recognize him by his rough voice and his black feet." The children answered, "Dear mother, we will be careful." It was not long before the mother left. There was a knock on the door and someone shouted, "Open up, dear children. Your mother is here and has brought something to each one of you." But the goats immediately recognized in a rough voice that it was a wolf. "You are not our mother. She has a fine and sweet voice, but your voice is rough. You are the wolf." So the wolf went to a grocery store and got chalk, which he ate to make his voice softer. He went back and knocked again. This time, however, he put his paw on the window. The children called to him, "We do not open. Our mother has no black paw like you. You are the wolf." Next, the wolf went to the baker. There, he put dough and flour on his paw, so that it was completely white. And again, the wolf went to the house of the kids and knocked. The kids wanted to see the proof as proof, and since it was now completely white, they opened the door. But when the 7 little kids saw the wolf coming into the house, they were terribly frightened and hid themselves. They jumped under the table, into bed, and onto the cupboard. But the wolf found them all. Only the smallest, which hid in a wall clock, he did not find. Can you spot in a wall clock? The wolf then went to sleep outside under a tree. A little later, the mother came home again. Startled, she realized that all her kids had disappeared. She searched for a long time until she found the 7th little kid in a wall clock. The mother went out to look for the villain. She found him nearby, still snoring deeply. Then she noticed that his spherical belly was moving. She took a pair of scissors and cut open the stomach of the wolf. And then one little kid jumped out of the stomach after the next. They filled the belly with stones and sewed it back. And when the wolf woke up, he got terribly thirsty and wanted to go to the well. But every step, the stones collided in his belly and he shouted, "What rumbles and tumbles against my poor bones? I thought it was 6 kids, but it feels like stones." When he arrived at the well, he lost his balance and fell into it. The old goat and her 7 little kids danced around the well in front of friends. They were now rid of the bad wolf once and for all, and they lived happily ever after until the end of their lives. Once upon a time, there was a little kid everyone loved, especially her grandmother. She gave her a red velvet cap. From then on, she was only called Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood's grandma got a nasty cold and had to stay in bed. Little Red Riding Hood wants to visit her grandmother to make her happy with wine and cake. The mother warns Little Red Riding Hood, "Don't leave the path, or you fall and break the bottle." The grandmother's house was in the middle of the forest. On her way, Little Red Riding Hood met a wolf. She was not afraid, because she did not know the wolf was a mean animal. "Good day, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "Where are you going?" Little Red Riding Hood told about her sick granny in the house in the woods. The wolf thought Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood would be a delicious dinner and said, "How about to pick your grandmother a beautiful bouquet of flowers? She will certainly be pleased." The wolf, however, went directly to the house of her grandmother. After Little Red Riding Hood had picked as many flowers as she could carry, she finally arrived at her grandmother's. The door was open. Little Red Riding Hood is surprised, but enters anyway. In bed lay Grandmother, who had pulled the hood deep in the face. But do you recognize who is lying in bed instead of Grandmother? "Grandmother, why are your ears so big?" asked our Little Red Riding Hood. "So I can hear you better." "Grandmother, why do you have big eyes?" "So I can see you better." "Grandmother, why are your hands so big?" "So I can grab you better." "But Grandma, why do you have a horrible big mouth?" "So I can eat you better." As soon as the wolf had said that, he jumped out of bed and swallowed up poor Little Red Riding Hood. After his feast, the wolf fell asleep and snored loudly. A hunter walking past the house wondered why the old woman was snowing so loud today and wanted to look after her. Then he discovered the wolf lying in bed. He immediately thinks the scoundrel surely has eaten the Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma. The hunter managed to save Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood from the big belly of the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood puts heavy stones in the belly of the wolf. Then the wolf awoke. He fell out of bed with a big weight of his stomach and died instantly. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother thank the hunter for their salvation, and they all celebrate together with a delicious piece of cake and a glass of wine. Once upon a time, there was a tailor who lived with his 3 sons and a goat. The milk of the goat fed the whole family, so it was very important that the goat always had enough to eat. Once, the eldest son brought the goat to the meadow so that she could eat fresh herbs. In the evening, he asked the goat if she was full, and she replied, "I am so full. I do not like a leaf more. Meh, meh." Back at home, the father asked, "Well, my beloved goat, did you get full?" "What should I be full of? I only jumped over ditches and found not a single leaf. Meh, meh." The father got quite angry with his eldest son and sent him away. This mean game was also played by the goat in the following days with the other 2 sons. They too were sent away and learned something. On his way, the eldest son found a schooling at a carpenter. The master was so pleased with his apprentice that he gave him an old-looking but very special table when he left. Well, it was not an ordinary table, on an enchanted table. As soon as you say, "Table be set," the table filled with the most delicious food. The son wanted to see his father again after such a long time and made his way home. On the way, he stopped at an inn which was fully occupied. The guests, all friendly, invited him to eat from their plates. But the son denied and straightened his table, set it, and invited all guests. The innkeeper's eyes widened, thinking he could not find a better cook than this table. So he enchanted the table when the eldest son slept with an old table. The son went the next day, unsuspecting, home to his father. The second son learned the profession of miller. For his good work, he also got something from his master. What do you see here? A donkey that could split gold. On the way home to his father, he also took a break at the same inn. What do you think how the story continues? He too was betrayed by the innkeeper, and the donkeys were swapped in the night. The third son was apprenticed to a turner. In the end, the master gave him a sack containing a cudgel. Every time he said, "Cudgel out the sack," the cudgel bludgeoned anyone who wanted to do him something evil. The two older brothers had written letters to the younger, as they had betrayed by the innkeeper. So also the youngest son returned to the said inn. He told the innkeeper that he had received a sack of jewels as a reward for his finished apprenticeship. In the evening, he went to bed and pretended to be asleep. As soon as the innkeeper sneaked into the room, he called quickly, "Cudgel, out the sack!" And the cudgel struck the innkeeper until he gave the table and the donkey out again. So the youngest son returned home to his father and two brothers, and the four of them lived happily after ever.